Hello, 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 everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back. We're going to be starting a new book today. We're going to be reading The Human Aura, how to activate and energize your aura and chakras. So this is two books in one. The first part will focus on the aura. The second will focus on the chakra system. So we'll go ahead and get started. And this is a book that was created by Djwal Kul. And I say created because the information was given to him. It is said that he worked very closely with the Ascended Master Kutumi, if you're familiar with the Ascended Masters. And if you're not, you should definitely check those out to get a better understanding. Ascended Masters would be like Jesus, Mother Mary, Buddha, Kutumi, Kuan Yin, Saint Germain. There's several others, but it is said that when Djwal Kul was alive, he worked closely with the Ascended Master, telepathically and channeling messages. So this is a compilation of very specific information on two very specific topics, the aura and chakras. And if you want a little bit more of an understanding about what this book is going to be about, I did make a little video about 3 minutes long, just sort of explaining the origin of the book and what we can expect from it. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start, I think we're for sure going to read chapter 1. There is no introduction. And the chapters don't seem that long, but it's a lot of information. So we might read chapter 2, but let's see where we're at when we're done with chapter 1, because I'm not really sure how deep this is going to go and how much information we're going to get. And I just want to go for some shorter videos. I think they're easier to sort of listen to and listen to. Okay, so chapter 1, the perfecting of the aura. As we commence these auric studies, let it be understood that the combined manifestation of body, soul, and mind creates around the spinal column and the medulla oblongata those emanations called by some the human aura, and by others the magnetic force field of the body of man. Let it be understood by all who read that each individual in whom is the flame of life reveals himself as though he were to shout it from the housetops, all that he really is, all that he has done, and even the portent of that which he shall be, right in the force field of his being and in the magnetic emanations surrounding his physical form. The reading in depth of the human aura is no ordinary science. Those who would undertake to do so should understand that by a simple change in thought, the foundation of the human aura, which pours forth from its own orifice, can change its color, its emanation, its magnetic affinity, its complete identity. Yet at the same time, it may retain beneath the surface the capacities to poison the atmosphere of the individual or the auric emanation within, by virtue of his failure to cleanse himself in heart. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God, is more than a beatitude issuing forth from the mouth of the living Christ. It is a fiat of strength shining, promised to all who behold it. We have pondered the great need of humanity for purification, and we advocate above all the purification of motive. But when individuals do not see clearly just what their own motives are, it becomes exceedingly difficult by reason of their own internal blindness for them to purify themselves. Therefore, the purification of the faculty of vision has been given top priority by the masters, because it has been our experience that when men learn to see as God sees, they perceive the need to correct their problems, and in most cases do so without further delay. In the matter of our brotherhood, those unascended devotees who wear the golden robe of cosmic illumination, who in truth are illumined concerning the many subjects ordinarily hidden from the average seeker on the path, are expected to perform more advantageously in directing their lives according to the instructions issuing from their lips. A good example is the best teacher. Now, what is the object of humanity's desire to read the human aura? Is it simply to satisfy some quality of human curiosity? Or do they find satisfaction in perceiving the wrongs of others without correcting their own? All who undertake this study of auric emanations and of the human force field as it pours forth into space should recognize the creative nature already existing in mankind. By the misuse of the creative nature, men have fabricated in countless lives undesirable and unwholesome conditions which plague their young, disturb their elders, and in no way contribute to the growth of the quality of human life as originally envisioned by Almighty God. The hope of the world as the light of the world is to be considered. The world today emanates an aura not at all resembling the Christic aura of the universal Christ consciousness, and the bulk of the people remain in ignorance of the simplest cosmic truths, because the powers of darkness that are in the world have accomplished the distortions of the scriptures, which they desired long, long ago. I think what I'm understanding from this is that we have a misunderstanding of what the written word is. And I think that means the Bible and what we've been taught in the Bible, which are all words according to. It's not anything directly from Jesus or from God, so to speak. They're all words according to, which have every chance of being misinterpreted and taken by the person who is recording the information to be perceived incorrectly or even knowingly, because from what I understand, many of Christ's disciples after his crucifixion were too afraid to really share the true message because they were afraid that the same thing that happened to him would happen to them. That is just something that I have read. All right, so let's see. Man's interpretation of his relationship to the divine involves itself in pagan and anthropomorphic concepts. God is seen as being appeased by sacrifice. Even so, men fail to understand the true meaning of sacrifice. In the case of the Master Jesus, because of the perfection in his nature which he clearly perceived, he did not require any propitiation for sin. Yet he is portrayed as one who is able to save to the uttermost to those who believe in him. Those who understand the meaning of God, Christ, and life from a real standpoint see that there is no difference between the divine nature in Jesus and the divine nature in themselves. They understand that there is no partiality in heaven. All can equate with the image of the beloved Son. The 99 must be forsaken, for they already possess the strength within themselves to perceive this truth. And the one who is lost, caught in the brambles of confusion, blinded to his own reality and the inward radiance of the divine image, must now forsake the false doctrine of the blind leaders of his blindness. He must heed the voice of God and return to it. Through our auric studies that we are releasing herewith, we anticipate that many shall find their way back to the Father's house. There they will perceive that they must present themselves a living sacrifice unto God. It was never the Father's intent to collect penance from humanity, nor to exact a form of sacrifice as appeasement of his wrath. I lost my place. For the only wrath of God that is valid in the cosmic courts of heaven is that karmic recompense, that weight of sin which imputes to humanity the darkness they have created, acceded to, or acknowledged. In reality, man lives in a universe of light and purpose. To veil that purpose from man was never the intention of God, for he has clearly said, "That which has been hidden shall be revealed." In this sense, then, the higher sense of releasing the divine knowing within man, who in reality is both the knower and the known, do we finally establish the reality of God within the consciousness of the individual, thus producing right there in man the perfection that he craves. It is amazing how by ignorance men are thwarted in their attempts to understand life. Simply because they do not know, they do not find out. Therefore, as our beloved Master once said, "For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away even that he hath." He spoke of understanding. This most precious treasure we shall attempt to bequeath to you in our releases on the studies of the human aura. All who read should bear in mind that we cannot increase the knowledge of those who do not first invoke it from the throne of grace. It is of utmost importance that the student understand that there is a process whereby every observation of his five senses is transmitted automatically to subconscious levels within himself, where, by inner hieroglyph, events he has witnessed or matters which he has studied are recorded. Thus, the entire transmittal of data from the external world to the internal lies in the Akashic records of his own being. The process of recall, while quite involved from a technical standpoint, is almost instantaneous. Out of the storehouse of memory, man quite easily calls forth these treasures of being. Unfortunately, not all events are benign, and not all recordings are examples of perfection. The sorting and classification of these records is the responsibility of the body elemental and the recording angel of the individual life stream. You will find mention of the recording angels in the words of Jesus when he spoke of the little ones. For I say unto you that their angels do always behold the face of my Father which is in heaven. Each individual has such an angel representing the purity of the infinite God, assigned to his life stream by divine decree from the very foundation of the world. This angel has the ability not only to read the life record of everyone upon the planet, but also to commune directly with the heart of God, to behold the face of my Father which is in heaven. Thus the intent of God to reveal himself unto the angel of his presence, attached to each of his children, operates through the Holy Christ self in perfect harmony with the divine plan. How unfortunate are those who, while always perceiving the height and depth of man, are never able to become impersonal enough in their approach to endow, the least of these, my brethren, with the quality of the living Christ. Men find it not at all difficult to believe that the fullness of the Godhead bodily dwelleth in Jesus, but they do find it difficult to believe that it also dwelleth in themselves. Yet this God has done. He has in the bestowal of the Christ flame placed the fullness of himself in every son and daughter. When the divine nature is properly understood, then, how easily humanity can bring forth the Antahkarana, and thus begin the process of correctly weaving their life manifestation. Now, as man studies the science of perfecting the aura, he should also understand that through the misqualification of thought and feeling, many undesirable traits are brought into manifestation. Most dangerous of all is misqualification in the emotional body of man, in the feeling world, for thereby the heart is touched and in turn often sways the whole life record of the individual into a miasma of doubt and questioning. I do not say that the sincere student does not have the right to question or even to doubt, but I do say that once the truth is clearly presented to him, if the door of his heart is open, he will never doubt and never question the truth of the living God. He may not leap over the hurdle, but he will clearly perceive that it can truly be, that he will be able, that he is able to realize more of God than that which his present awareness allows. Let us free humanity by right knowledge from all that has bound them and blinded them to their own great inner power, to the treasure house God has locked within their consciousness. Now, I want to make very certain that all understand that misqualification in the feeling world, such as anger, self-righteousness, fear, hatred, jealousy, condemnation, and resentment, gives a certain leverage to the power of amplification. This is similar to the transponder system on your large aircraft. When the transponder button is pushed by the pilot, it triggers a signal from the transponder, which causes an enlarged blip to appear upon the electronic board of the airport traffic controller, thereby enabling the plane to be easily identified. Thus do the emotions of mankind often falsely amplify misqualified thoughts and feelings to the point where a dominant position is assumed by these misqualified feelings. Although this takes place without the consent of the real being of man, nevertheless, darkness does then cover the truth. Yet Christ has said, I am the light of the world. I have given you many thoughts in this my first release on the studies of the human aura. The brothers of the golden robe will joyously respond to the depth of his wisdom, which he shall release in the completed series. From the archives of the Brotherhood, our love pours forth. All right, let's take a look at chapter 2. Oh, it's not very long at all. So chapter 2 is titled The Susceptibility of the Aura. Continuing auric studies, we examine the influences of the world upon the human monad. Man is a creature of simple design, yet complex in the externalization of that design. Little do men realize, when first they ponder the nature of themselves, the ramifications of the consciousness of each individual. The influences of the world, the thoughts of the world, the feelings of humanity are easily transmitted consciously or unconsciously from person to person. And in the transmittal of thoughts and feelings, neither sender nor receiver has any guarantee that the patterns of his intent will be preserved intact. If the light that is in man that he transmits is undesirable, those who are easily made the victim of his thoughts and feelings, or those who are naturally affinitized with him, may reproduce the effects of those thoughts and feelings in their own worlds. So many in the world today are victims of the thoughts of others, even thoughts from other eras, which endure because mankind have fed their attention and their energies into them. In effect, it can be said that man has endowed either his evil or his good deeds with a semi-permanent existence, and that the consciousness of good and evil partaken of by Adam and Eve, because it has been perpetuated by his free will, is living in man today. Yet, through a return to the Edenic consciousness of God, man is able to find the tree of life, which is in the midst thereof, and to eat of the fruit and live forever. There is much that we shall transmit in our studies, but first we must ask that the students approach them with the right attitude in order that we may create a climate of the practical use of right knowledge. Through the ages that have passed from spiritual innocence to worldly contamination, men have seldom observed the recycling process by which there has been regurgitated upon the screen of life a flood of undesirable qualities. Both world and individual problems have been prolonged entirely because of the vibrational patine of blackened and tarry substance with which man has coated his very being and then refused to surrender. It is time humanity began to examine themselves as individuals having a creative potential, which they may use to influence the auras of others, and which in turn makes them susceptible to influences from others, both good and bad. Thoughts of love, joy, and peace, divine thoughts created in the hearts of the saints and the angelic hosts, should never be avoided, but should be enhanced by the magnetic force field of the aura. Men can learn from one another, and their auric emanations can benefit from contact with those whose auras are filled with virtue. Because it is just as easy for the aura to absorb vice as it is for it to absorb virtue, the individual must understand how this process of thought and feeling transmittal can help or hinder him in his daily occupation. Because people are so completely unaware of the effects of the mass consciousness as well as the mental pressures from neighbors and friends, we continue to stress the importance of using the violet transmuting flame and the tube of light as effective deterrents to the penetration of the aura by undesirable qualities and to their effects upon the mind and being. And it says here to see a page further on called The Chart of Your Divine Self. And I have spoken of the violet flame, and I've actually read a book, Saint Germain and the Violet Flame, if you're interested in learning more about the beautiful decreeing of the violet flame. Needless to say, I am determined to transmit in this series definite information that shall make it easier for the soul within man to hold dominion over his life pattern, thus improving the quality of the human aura. Unless this be done, great pain and suffering will undoubtedly come to humanity, and that unnecessarily. The Brothers of the Golden Robe, in their devotions and study of the holy wisdom of God, have recently considered that a clear revelation of matters involving the human aura would make it possible for more individuals who are oriented around spiritual knowledge to be assisted and to assist others, hence this series. Now, without question, there are problems manifesting in the world wholly as a result of the individual's contact with the auric field or force field of embodied humanity. Therefore, defenses must be clearly shown. They must be understood at the level of the individual. In addition to that, methods of projecting the consciousness or the force field out of the physical body and to others in one's immediate family or circle of friends must be understood and then effectively mastered as a means of sending hopeful light rays of cosmic service to those who, while in need of assistance, have no idea whatsoever that such possibilities exist. Although people are brought under the benign or harmful power of various auric manifestations and force fields, they do not understand how this is done, and many times they are unaware that it is being done. It is not a question of scientific marvel to them or one of strange phenomena. They simply do not know that it exists, but we do. Working effectively with this knowledge from a wholly constructive standpoint, the angelic hosts and Brothers of the Golden Robe yearn to see the day manifest when humanity, one and all, will understand how they may use this beneficent force of the human aura in a correct and proper manner. For they will see that the aura is designed to be a reflector of good to all whom they meet and to the world at large. Those skilled in mortal hypnotism and seductive practices have a partial knowledge of the use of auric and force-filled projections, and they do achieve limited results that lend credence to their work in the minds of some whose goals are likewise minded. As our beloved Master Jesus once said, "The children of this world are in their generation wiser than the children of the light." In conference with us, beloved Jesus has made very clear that in making that statement, it was never his intention to see this condition prevail. Rather, it was his promise to all who believed in the Christ, "Greater works shall ye do, because I go unto my Father." Thus, it is the will of God that each generation should attempt to improve the quality of the abundant life upon the planetary body through every available means that is in keeping with the teachings and practice of the Christ. It has been our intent in these first two releases to give certain vital bits of information on our subject. Later in the series, we shall develop that understanding of our instruction, which, if correctly applied, can change your life and the lives of countless numbers among mankind, because they will be better able to appreciate and to follow the way of truth and the way of hope. Do you know how many individuals there are in the world today who, by reason of their ignorance on these very subjects, become the victims of manipulators? Well, beloved ones, there are many, I assure you, and I do not want the graduates from our class to ever again be among them. Let me then go back to the basic principles of Ascended Master Law by citing for all the need to use your tube of light and the violet transmuting flame as the greatest protection you can ever have against the forces of manipulation. How very dominant, God-endowed, and beautiful are the fragments of divine knowledge that have been received by you thus far. Do you truly meditate upon them? Do you make them a part of your life, or do you find them to be entertaining flowers that somehow the mind takes a fancy to? Beloved ones, I want to prepare you for a most tremendous piece of information which I will transmit to you in a forthcoming lesson. But I want to make certain that when you receive this concept, which I will bring to you, you meditate upon it like a flower. Therefore, prepare yourselves in your meditations for this concept, which I assure you will give you a very concrete idea beyond the mechanical as to just how you can accomplish the purification of your aura. Without this knowledge that I am about to reveal, a great deal more time could very well elapse before you would truly understand the real freedom you have and how to use it for the blessing of all life. When you divinely apply the wisdom of the Great White Brotherhood to the correct manifestation of reality in your world, I am certain that the improvement in your aura and in the quality of your life will be very great indeed. And just so you know, the Great White Brotherhood is basically the Ascended Masters, and they are male Ascended Masters and female Ascended Masters, but they are referred to as the Great White Brotherhood because of the white light that is emanated and that they hold within them, the pure Christ divine light. Remember that I want you to be a flower, a rose, or a lotus, waiting in the swamplands of life to receive the precious drops of truth that heaven has prepared for you. If you will do this, I am certain that you will need no further proof of the reality of your being, of the unfolding kingdom that is within you, and of how you can take dominion over that kingdom as God intended, in a way that is safe, sane, and correct. When there are so many books being written today, so many words being released into the streams of mankind's consciousness, which are almost a complete abortion of the divine intent, I must urge you to appreciate the opportunity we are releasing to you today. I remain devoted to your heart's light. All right, so we'll go ahead and stop right there. How wonderful. I'm very excited to learn more about this. I've had this book on my shelf for a while and didn't show much interest in it until about 3 or 4 months ago, maybe longer than that. I became more interested in the chakras when I started doing Kundalini yoga, realizing that we're working with the chakras, and then working on my chakras and realizing just how much it has affected my life mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. And the aura is a huge part of who we are. So if hopefully you'll find this interesting. I know it is a little bit more in depth. It is a bit more involved than the last few books we've been reading. That's sort of why I put it in between our halfway point of our Archangelology series, just something a bit more in depth for you, if you feel so inclined to listen. So we'll go ahead and stop right there, and we'll read chapter 3 and 4 in the next video. And until next time, as always, please take care of yourself. Please take care of those around you. I will see you all again soon for the next chapters. And if you feel so inclined and you haven't already done so, please subscribe, like, comment, hit the notification bell so you can see when I post. I pretty much post a video every single day. I love making these for you guys. They help me and they help others, and it's like a big circle of helping one another. So until next time, yes, again, take care of yourselves. I love you all, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.